So I'm gonna just spritz this ring very minimally with some pan spray. 3 spritzes is plenty. You can either use your hand or, thank you, a paper towel to rub it in. So you're just gonna grease her up. If you have too much, use a paper towel. If you don't have too much. And then I'm gonna use whatever's left over on my hand and do my 3-inch ring. You're all gonna do 1 petit gâteau, 1 entremet today for this. So gloves for that, obviously. Well, I almost tried to put a paper towel on my hand. Not a fork. And then you're gonna travel over to the 6X sugar bin, and I'm just gonna travel. Does anyone know where it is? Right behind me. Easier to just travel over there than getting yourself a bowl and dirtying that. So you're just gonna toss your little guy in there. Hang it off, so whoever's working at this table, you might want to move the bin, because everyone's gonna be in your face tonight. And then same thing with your large ring, you just get it a skim coat of powdered sugar. It's gonna get everywhere. You really only need it on the inside. All right, so after that, we have an 8-inch cardboard and a 9-inch cardboard. The 9-inch is severely just to like hold the entremet up, just like yesterday was just there to hold everything. The 8-inch you're going to put on the inside. It's going to eat up a little space inside the ring, help us when we need to unmold. It's just life is easier all around. So we're building this one from the bottom to the top instead of the top to the bottom like we did yesterday. So just make sure that 8-inch ring, the 8-inch ring goes over the cardboard, but yet the cardboard stays down. If it's like this, your entremet's gonna be tilted when you're done. So make sure it stays down but doesn't sneak out, so perfect fit. Onto your 9-inch with your name, onto your turntable. The little guy, you can just cut up a little square of parchment paper to stick underneath it. You will be building these directly on the pan that you plan on putting in the freezer. Because what would happen if I lifted it? Everything that you put in falls right out the bottom. So just keep that in mind. Every once in a while someone's like, Chef. I'm like, told you. I'm gonna need a little more space, guys, so I'm gonna hate to do it, but scooch, scooch. Write your name on the corner. Oof, sort of. And set that aside. First thing, right? Ring prep first. Yes, right. Okay. A little bit of granulated sugar on top of the Joconde. I just chose anyone's Joconde. You'll all have plenty to use, no worries. And a paring knife to gently release from the pan. Try not to cut the SILPACKs. Just gently release the corners and edges. This is where it's going to get messy, so notebooks might want to be moved so you don't have sugar all over it. And I'm going to put this piece of parchment here and give it the good old 1, 2, 3 flip. Don't be afraid of this process. Nothing's going to happen to this Joconde. It's not falling off, it's not going anywhere. I can hold it here forever. No big. And it's flexible. It's not going to crack or anything. Well, hopefully it's flexible. If it's not flexible, we have a whole other situation that we'll need to discuss. But. So from here, now I have the sugar all over it. Just place it under there. This would be the ooh-ah moment. Thank you. Thank you for humoring me. The SILPACKs, gently wash them. We'll dry them on the ovens and then away. Just trying to fold them up into a teeny tiny ball. So here's the Joconde. This section, not so fantastic, but at the end of the day, like I said, we have a lot, so we can just avoid this section. All right, so that we have perfect lines on the entremet. You need a wheelie cutter. That was a technical term. Pastry cutter. Got that? Wheelie cutter. Sorry. Every time I say pizza cutter or cake wheel, everyone's like, what? And I'm like, wheelie cutter. What do you want me to say? Pastry wheel? Yeah, whatever.
Wait, is it the freshmen that are always confused?
No, actually it's not. Funny thing. I don't know. Alright, so you're going to take this and just trim off the end. If you have some crispiness, like I have a little crispiness, keep cutting until you don't have crispiness. So move it in a little bit. You're looking to start this, that's all right. I'm gonna use that spot anyway. I always do this backwards there. Makes more sense.
We tried these.
Yes, I was just getting to that. So you're gonna make a nice, clean, straight line. Everyone's like, starving. I know, 6 hours is a long
Legitimate
time.
question.
All right, wash your fingers. This part is a little crispy compared to what I'm going to use, which is a little more flexible, so the texture is going to be a little different than what would be on your entremet. Flavor-wise, it's not very strong. It's really just kind of an interesting texture that goes along with the mousse and everything else in your entremet, as well as it is pretty. I'm not going to lie to you, this whole process of Joconde, I'm not going to call it old-fashioned, I'm going to call it a little bit antique. Because I like the way antique sounds, because it's a little bit more older style, but I think still very valid because you can do a lot with it. It's a very valid technique, even if it is a little more old-fashioned. I need that again. So once you're here, if you guys want more, I'll have more ends in a minute. You're gonna cut strips the width of the ruler. Now make sure you guys get the same ruler width I get. I mean, there's a couple over there that are a little different, so just, you know, it's approximately 1.25 inches, an inch, something in that neighborhood. And just go ahead and trim, making them as straight and perfect as you can manage. You will need 3.
3 per person?
Generally, yes. I mean, every once in a while 4, but generally 3. And this will be part of your grade tomorrow, the way this is cut. So if you don't trust someone in your group, do it yourself. It's a good experience to do. Now, so I'm going to just take my 3 strips aside, and the rest of this goes back on the sheet pan for the next person. This stuff will dry out relatively quickly, so, I mean, we're going to be using it within a half an hour. I don't think it's going to be a problem. But, like, if you were making it one day and then you knew you were just going to freeze it for the next day, well, wrap it as soon as you can. It does freeze well. You can make lots and lots of it at once and then just use it as you need it. It does have nuts in it too, don't forget that for people that have allergies. I'm going to start with my first strip, making sure that I'm starting with something beautiful. So I'm going to start with white. It doesn't really matter if you start with red or white as long as it's one thing. And then I'm going to end with white. No. If I was being really, really picky, I would stop there. So I have these, but I'm okay. For you guys, be super picky. I just want to get this done. So, I'm going to put it in my ring, putting my, sorry, I turned this wrong way, my beautiful seam right here. The seam of my entremet ring is away from me. And just press it up against the side. Doesn't have to be perfect yet, just get it lined in there. And I know this is hard to see, so just, you know, be nosy. You can. For this strip, I'm going to start with red because I started with white on the other one. And what I would like to do is I would like to achieve a perfect red, white, red, white, red, white, red, white, all the way around until I get to the back. If I can get perfect back, that's great. But if I don't, that's okay too. I'd rather just have the most amount of Joconde I can get in there. I don't want to obsess about the pattern because it really is more important that I have a tight fit. So I'm going to leave this as is for now. Place this inside. And then this is the scooching part. There you go. There's one of those words that no one else uses, but I do. You guys were asking yesterday. Scooch. So you match up your 2 seams just perfectly, just no overlapping or anything like that. And then you scooch. So you're going to take your thumbs or your 4 fingers and pull the Joconde kind of towards you, sliding it within the ring. This part is tricky, so as you guys are doing it, if you want help, just call me over. What I would really like is for you to call me or Chef Kelly over before you trim your last piece. That way we can make sure there's enough in there and that you're doing it right. So you're going to just take your thumbs and pull it kind of towards you, working from here to the other side, and doing that a few times to basically lengthen the amount of Joconde you're using inside your ring. The seal between the ring and the Joconde is as tight as can be. What would happen if I didn't have a tight seal between my ring and my Joconde? Exactly, my Bavarian's going. So, no bueno. So as soon as you feel as though that is as scooched as it can be, you're going to take your paring knife, and this is a little dangerous, but this is the best way to do it. You're going to not cut exactly at the seam, but try to cut at about a 1/4 inch larger. So I think if I turn it this way, you might have an easier time seeing it, because you can always get a 1/4 inch in there. So I'm just going to pull it away and push it gently up against my knife with my thumb. Very gently, don't cut yourselves. The other option is to pull it out of the ring, trim it, put it back in, and scooch again, which is not efficient. So once you've done that, you have that 1/4 inch overlap, you just keep scooching a little bit more, and then release this a tiny bit, match up the seams perfectly, and pop that back in. All right, that's going to give you the nicest junction. If you don't and you just kind of shove them together, you're going to end up with something that looks like this on the side of your entremet, which is obvious and ugly, as opposed to something very perfectly clean that may not even be noticed at all. Okay. So it's in, it's scooched, it's down, touching the cardboard underneath. There's no like air gaps or anything. That's that. The small one, pretty much do the exact same thing, but with just one piece, and it's not as much of a process because it's a tiny little ring. You can only do what you can do. So just sort of do the best you can. Just line this ring as tightly as you can. What I would do in industry standards is I would actually cut one piece of Joconde the right length to make sure it's perfect, and then line it up and cut all my pieces, and then just pull it in the right position. That one I just kind of like, it's like a little door. So it's down and as tight as it can be. There. You have 2 layers of vanilla sponge cake that are 3/8 inch thick, just like yesterday. One of mine's a little thinner, but that I think I can live with. Rather not waste it. I actually have a 6-inch ring cutter, finally. That is like great for the middle layer. And I have this. So you have your ring, you just grab an extra one. You have your 9-inch cake, it's a little bigger, trim it down. And then you need to be able to fit this in. So the Joconde is there, so you have to eat up a little more space. So down a little, up a little, left a little, right a little. Thank you so much. And then make sure it fits in. I'm really good at this, so it fits perfectly. It doesn't have to fit perfectly, it's just something, you know. If it's bigger, obviously you need to trim it down. But if it's a little smaller and there's a little gap between the Joconde and the sponge, no big deal. As long as it's not like an inch gap, so don't go crazy. From here, 6-inch cutter. I'm not going to cut right in the center because I need to conserve a little sponge. All right, so cut off to the side, trim that. That's going to be our middle layer. That's a layer, right? Why is it not an insert? Because it is not a creamy or gelatinous-y kind of texture. It is a cake. I know, right? Sometimes I get like these funny accents going. I don't know where they come from. Gelatinous from Dakota. Anyway, so I'm allowed to do that because I have friends that live there. Pick the cutter that fits inside the Joconde and then just give yourself one little disc. We are not doing 2 layers of sponge cake in this teeny tiny thing. It's not worth the effort. Drive yourself crazy. So this is there, this is chewy, snack. There's a little sponge waste in this class that I'd like to fix. I'm not there yet. Next up.